Hi. I want to take a moment to talk about compassion. Compassion for your characters. Compassion if you're writing memoir for your younger self. I'm Traci Skuce. I'm founder of The Writing Journey. And if you like this video and others like it, please hit the subscribe button. And if you're interested in following me on my newsletter, then the link is down below. So compassion. Compassion is a really sweet form of love, and it's the form of love where this is how it was described to me, or the Buddhist perspective. I'm a big fan of Pema Chodron. I've listened to hundreds of hours of her speaking, and one of the things she says is compassion is like a mother with no arms whose child has fallen into the river. So the reason I bring this up in terms of writing is this, because quite often when we're writing, whether a memoir or whether fiction, there is this sort of black and white. I've done it myself, this black and white, like, this is the good person, this is the bad person, and there's no compassion for the struggle. So a couple of weeks ago, I did a video about struggle. This is a very real and human experience. So if we can look at our characters as real and human and kind of feel for them, like, wow, you know, I'll just give an example. I wrote a story for a CBC contest, and it was a nonfiction story. I wrote the story of why I had a baby with a man I hardly knew. And my intention in the telling of the story when I started to write it was to kind of warn my younger self, like, don't make that decision, you silly young woman. And what I ended up feeling by the end was a great deal of compassion for two people who just were in the struggle of the moment, caught up in the moment, didn't have wisdom, didn't have guidance to carry and hold them, and so made a decision which changed the trajectory of their lives. So look at your characters, look at the way that you perceive your characters. Not do you love them so much that you're protecting them from danger, because as I mentioned in the struggle video, that's not super helpful. And not the other, I've also done this where it was very clear that I had a bias against one of the characters. And my dear teacher, Jack Driscoll, said, like, you gotta make him more human. He's not just all bad. Like, how is he likable? What are the things that make him human? Because as humans, we're these complex creatures that have in us the capacity for great love and also great harm. And sometimes that harm is turned inward, sometimes that harm is done to us, but we all have suffered. We all have suffered. And so to remember that in your story with a certain amount of forgiveness and compassion. So maybe you have to write your way there, but ask yourself of your characters, what do they deeply care about? And what do they feel most sorrowful about or for? And I think if you ask those questions, you'll find a softening in your own heart and a sense of compassion that your story needs for it to hold the complexity of the human experience.